The responsibility for the health and well-being of prisoners of war, PoWs. Prisoners of war, PoWs, have always been particularly vulnerable to abuse due to their affiliation with the enemy and the fact that their captivity usually occurs against the backdrop of wartime animosity. However, the status of PoWs has drastically evolved over time. The Third Geneva Convention lays out a solid legal framework for their protection. Article 13 of this convention states that PoWs must at all times be humanely treated. The detaining power is the party to the conflict that has captured the soldiers of the opposing side. The detaining power has certain responsibilities under the Third Geneva Convention, including the humane treatment of PoWs, providing necessary medical care, and ensuring that PoWs are protected against any act of violence, intimidation, insults, and public curiosity. Let's repeat, the side that takes prisoners has responsibility of ensuring that PoWs are protected against any act of violence. Any unlawful act or omission by the detaining power causing death or seriously endangering the health of a prisoner of war in its custody is prohibited. In particular, no prisoner of war may be subjected to physical mutilation or to medical or scientific experiments of any kind which are not justified by the medical, dental or hospital treatment of the prisoner concerned and carried out in his interest. Likewise, prisoners of war must at all times be protected, particularly against acts of violence or intimidation and against insults and public curiosity. Measures of reprisal against prisoners of war are prohibited. If prisoners of war, PoWs, die during captivity, it is considered a serious breach of the Third Geneva Convention. Article 13(1) of the Convention states that any unlawful act or omission causing the death or seriously endangering the health of a prisoner of war is prohibited. The detaining power has a responsibility to provide necessary medical attention to PoWs, and failure to do so, resulting in death or serious health issues, is regarded as a serious violation. The responsibility for the health and well-being of prisoners of war, PoWs, primarily lies with the detaining power. According to the Third Geneva Convention, the detaining power is obligated to provide necessary medical attention and ensure humane treatment of PoWs at all times. It's important to note that the detaining power may prosecute PoWs for possible war crimes, but not for acts of violence that are lawful under international humanitarian law. The detention of PoWs is not a form of punishment, but only aims to prevent further participation in the conflict. They must be released and repatriated without delay after the end of hostilities. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, plays a central role in the protection of the dignity and well-being of PoWs. The ICRC's updated commentary on the Third Geneva Convention, XIII, relative to the treatment of prisoners of war, contextualizes the 1949 Convention for contemporary conflicts. It is an essential resource to answer questions about the status and treatment of PoWs in contemporary international armed conflicts. They work tirelessly to ensure that the rights of PoWs are respected and that they are treated humanely during their captivity. Furthermore, the World Health Organization, WHO, also emphasizes that prisoners should have the same standard of medical care as people living in the community. The WHO/Europe Health in Prisons Program, HIP, works as a platform for information dissemination, networking, and good practice sharing in the area of prison health.